All right. Wow. um, I expected to have my voice when I opened my mouth. What's up, America, world, everyone? Um, this is the second rendition of the vlog, and I'm trying to keep it quick because I have something in the microwave, breakfast, if you will, whatever the meal is at 11 a.m. So I'm on the clock against broccoli. So I'm gonna beat my broccoli. The last couple of days, like the prelude or whatever, the first 3 days went really good. Um, and weight wise, I'm betting anyone over the holiday season stored a good deal of water weight, and that's pretty much what came off of me in a drastic hurry. So I am literally 6 pounds lighter today than I was on Friday, which seems unrealistic if you just think of it straight up as body fat. But I'm well aware that it's not just body fat. I'm sure a little bit of it was, but um, that rate has definitely slowed down in the last couple of days. Like I think the first 2 days it was like 2 pounds a day, and then the last day going into Sunday was a pound, and now into today was like zero point 0.3 pounds. So it's definitely slowing down and coming back to a realm of realistic. And I wanted to use those 3 days as like a washout period because I knew there was going to be some water weight and stuff, um, just like transient body weight changes that would kind of skew the data a little bit. So I didn't want to get like a full setup for a unreasonably high weight mark that I was already carrying because I knew it wasn't weight that would stay around at all. Um, so definitely slowing down to a more ideal rate of weight loss. And for me, someone who's not quite advanced, I've been training for a while, but I'm not quite pushing the boundaries of my genetic limits yet. Um, so I guess you could consider me like an intermediate in terms of training status, and um, the like ideal rate of weight loss really correlates pretty strongly with the amount of body fat you have, um, and stress and other things and training frequency all play a role. But so for someone like me who's more of an intermediate, it's going to be less than a percent a week, like technically 0.7% per week is like what we see in the research as a pretty ideal rate of weight loss, so that if you're losing at or under that amount of weight per week, provided that you have a really sound diet in place, which that's the whole idea, you're going to be losing enough weight to have that ratio of fat that comprises that weight be where it needs to be. So if you were to push, there's like a sweet spot for both losing and gaining weight. And if you're gonna push past that sweet spot in either direction, you're gonna sacrifice muscle on the cutting end, and you're going to gain unnecessary fat on the bulking end. So keeping it like I guess at a trickle, what you could say is when you get more advanced, that's kind of what you're pushing for. You're trying to lose the maximal amount of fat while keeping your weight probably once you get into the advanced realm as stable as possible, which means that you're gaining relatively equal parts of lean mass while you're um, losing fat mass. But the only way to encourage this is to not create like a 30-50% deficit. That would be saved more for people who are like newbies, or people who are carrying a lot of extra body fat to begin with. Then you could afford to be pretty aggressive because has been some pretty good research to show that if you're in the unhealthy range or like obese even range of body fat, you can afford to do some more drastic deficits and not really sacrifice your lean body mass. So that's not my situation. My situation, I'm still definitely above where I need to be. Um, like I said, that weight mark that I weighed in and I knew would be artificially high, I think that threw off the body fat percentage measurement because I have this device called a Sculpt, and it's like electrical impedance. It's not BIA, but it's similar. I don't think it's like 100% accurate, but it definitely can show trends. And when I measured before, it was like 21%, and now even though I lost weight and water weight um, up to like 23%, but I'm a little more confident in that number because, like I said, there's no like water weight or any other type of transient body weight that's just kind of hanging around that could kind of throw off the measurement. Um, so that is the only measurement that's gone up. My weight's gone down. My waist measurement has gone down, not much, maybe a quarter of an inch. Um, but the only measurement that's gone up is body fat, and I'll tend to agree with that. So that's what I'm going to be setting my macros at in this coming week. Um, and when you have a pretty slow under 1% goal of weight change per week, you could afford to make very minor adjustments. And when you basically construct a diet that's all whole food, it doesn't feel like you're really restricting yourself at all. Like I don't really, and granted, 3 days, day 4, whatever this is, uh, I don't really feel like, oh man, I'm so hungry I could like eat the wood on the table. Like, and I've been there before, trust me. And like anyone who's ever dieted has felt like that at one time or another. And I'm sure I'll get there, but I'm not there right now. And it's a very manageable deficit. And this week coming up, I think that equates to the 0.7% change equates to roughly 1.3 pounds. So if I'm at or under that number, I'm in a pretty good zone, and I feel pretty confident that with the way my diet is set up, I'm sparing or even gaining some lean mass while ensuring that the majority of that, just over a pound, is mostly fat. Um, so the adjustment I'm making coming into this week is just over 100 calories. It's like 120 calories. I don't think I discussed my macros in the previous video, but that's going to amount to about 110 grams of fat, 150 grams of carbs, and 155 grams of protein. Damn, my broccoli beat me. You win again, vegetables. Anyway, so yeah, those are my macros, and there's a good deal of wiggle room with those, um, but I'm trying to hit it on the nose as possible, um, just to kind of get in that habit. I know that there's some pretty substantial leeway that you could get, like some error margins, um, but since I have the ability to nail it, I'm gonna nail it. So that's really where we're at, and like I said, those numbers are a little bit higher on the training days because I'm giving myself that protein sparing modified fast on Sundays. I didn't do it this Sunday because I wanted those 3 consecutive days of dieting and training just to kind of reset. I called it like a prelude, kind of. Um, but so now that we're squared away with that, now I could start making the changes on the week-to-week basis and not kind of fretting day to day. Speaking of training, definitely good to be back in the gym. I From the postseason and the cruise and the Cubs celebration, I was out of the gym from I think October 13th to whenever the cruise was, because there was a gym on the boat, and so I would get in there and kind of mess around, but that was mostly just to kind of counteract the immense amount of food and alcohol. Um, so now back at quads, definitely good to see all those guys there. Um, been going there consistently at the same time, which is definitely a plus when it comes to circadian rhythm. And that's really underrated aspect of both diet and training. Just to kind of get your body in a rhythm, in sync with that like internal clock that you have, is like a must. Because people don't think, they're like, oh, I'll just get my macros in. Um, Across the day at whatever time. It's like, well, no, if you kind of stick towards those windows that you're already creating, and you don't have to be meticulous to the minute, but if you stay within an hour or 2 hour window of your general feedings, that's going to be a time when your body is much more used to receiving that energy, and it'll better know what to do with it. And the same goes for training. If you keep it in a window, um, your body's going to adapt and really give your body the biggest, like, if it's used to training at that certain time, it's kind of akin to the sleep cycle. Like if your body is used to sleeping at a certain time, it's going to produce melatonin at a certain time before that sleep window, just because it's habitual, and your body adapts. So in terms of what your body needs in terms of optimal performance, like a higher body temperature, um, muscular coordination, reflex speed, all that stuff. There's a natural peak in your circadian rhythm, which um, is actually like during the evening, and that's why I decided to put my training there. But even if you don't train in the evening, if you consistently train at a certain time, say in the morning or the afternoon, your body is going to adapt. Um, it's not going to be 100% makeup of all those things that would have been optimized like later in the afternoon, but it's going to increase your heart rate, your body temperature, XYZ in the window that it's accustomed to training in. So that's why it's so vital to keep training and wake time, meal time, training time, and sleep time. Those are really things that you want to keep consistent, if at all possible. And like I said, not down to the minute, but within an hour, 2 hour window every day. Um, I don't know how I got on that tangent, but okay, training. Yeah, feels good to be getting back in the gym. I'm in there from about 6 to 8, but a lot of that is a warm up. So I'm lifting for roughly 60 to 90 minutes, um, and I noticed my strength has taken a little bit of a dip, which is to be expected with the layoff, and I'm not taking any caffeine before my nighttime training because I really don't want to sacrifice sleep quality if I don't have to. And it's just going to take a little bit for the strength to catch back up to where it was. It's like probably 80% of where it was. And I know I hinted at it in the last video, but never talked about it. But with my back issues, there are some exercises that are definitely um, like taboo for me, but I really want to incorporate them um, because of how they would fit into my workout routine is kind of irreplaceable in some regards. So for something like deadlifts, I feel like in any complex compound movement, I feel like a lot of injuries just come from not nailing form. Um, and people just like get under a bar in a squat rack with like 405 pounds and be like tilting forward and creating a bunch of shearing force and just to like show off. So the idea for me with deadlifting here is because that's really one of the only lifts that I'm reincorporating. As far as squats, there's a pretty good machine that mimics it, but keeps the bar path pretty vertical, so I'm not like moving my body in any kind of, because that's where I feel I get in the most trouble. If I'm getting my chest too far out and moving my hips too far back, I feel like that's what creates the most problems for me in the squat. So I think this machine keeps a pretty good range of motion and removes that issue. Anyway, with deadlifts, um, it's kind of a check your ego at the door type thing and really reduce the weight and try and nail form for a good chunk of volume with a low amount of weight so that I could just progressively add um, 10 or 15 pounds every session and eventually within a month or so get back to where I was in terms of deadlifting strength, but hopefully with better form and better like neural motor patterns because strength is a skill and highly complex movements are a skill. They're a learned skill. It's not simply people don't simply improve their weight on lifts because they're getting stronger. They also are able to add weight to lifts because they are just better at the lift. It's a skill. Strength is a skill. Um, that's why you see people who are generally you think they're scrawny and small, but they could like bust out a triple body weight squat, and you're like, what the hell? It's not necessarily because they're the Hulk. It's because they're really proficient at squatting. Um, so that's what I'm going to try and do with deadlifts here. The sumo variation because I can't conventional. I get my hips way too far back, and that's again similar problem to squatting. But I'm going to do it sumo style. I have a lot of warm up style work, just like unloaded like a broomstick, just really trying to hit form, and then carrying that over to really light 3x5. I think I started at 185 pounds, and like I could do working sets before with over 360. So I'm literally at like half of the tonnage, doing 3x5, and then like I said, increasing steadily session to session. So um, that's that's the plan with the big compound lifts that have been problematic with me. And if like there's any sign, I'm also including a lot of prehab work in my warm up, like core work, planks, body extensions, and then just dynamic stretching and trying to nail, like I said, unloaded squats and unloaded sumo deadlifts, just really to ingrain that neural pattern and just get really proficient at a proper form of the lift. So that's where I'm at with training. My broccoli's probably getting cold, so let me wrap this up. For shameless plug alert, for my website, TaylorMade Fitness, Taylor-Made Fitness, got a new article coming up soon, so keep a lookout for that. Also, I'm kind of expanding my coaching offers. I'm trying to add like one-off consulting, where it's not like, hey, we're invested on a weekly type basis, but if you have like a set of questions, or if you want to get a good starting block, or if you're kind of like an off-season athlete and you just want some guidance and maybe a couple times a month instead of every week, I'm going to make that offering available. And then for coaching, for the weekly type coaching, I'm going to be doing like half off the first month, and I'm trying to get a good deal of additional content to provide for prospective clients as well. So I'm planning on offering $75 for the first month, um, and then it doubles thereafter. But you could cancel at any time and get that month's or that month's money back. I'm going to do like a satisfaction guarantee. I'm not trying to take your money and run with it. I really believe that once we start working together, I'll get the best out of you if you get the best out of me, and that's what I plan on bringing. So anyway, I gotta go eat this broccoli and eggs, not just broccoli. But really excited for the week ahead. Gonna nail what I can nail, and let's see what a full week can do. All right, let's work.